We will call the Rules Committee to order at this time. So, Councilor Vasquez, would you please give a blessing?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your many blessings with good citizens that are interested to come and hear what our council is doing. I thank you for all of our counselors, and I thank you for giving us a voice for our people. Guide us and lead us in the right direction to make the best decisions for the citizens. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, Shelley.
Joe Berg.
Aye.
Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Bill England.
Here.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Jack Baker. Harley Buzzard. Sean Crittenden. Don Garvin. Wanda Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Janice Taylor. Here. David Thornton. Victoria Vasquez. David Walkingstick. Brian Warner. We do have a quorum.
Okay, the minutes from LT at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All opposed? Signify.
Aye.
You're opposed?
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Janice, sit down. Okay. Minutes are approved. At this time, we'll drop down to our reports. Marshal Shenanbuell. Rex.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Besides what's on the report, I will tell you that one of my marshals, Marshal Josh Smith, was awarded the Marshal of the Year last night at the Elks. A lot of you might know that he's the marshal that volunteers every year to help on the bike ride. So he spends 3 weeks a year of his own, out there driving at 10 miles an hour, which is very exciting for a marshal to do. But he volunteers for pretty much everything that's going on. He just came back to work this morning. He had tonsillectomy, his tonsils removed last week, spent a week off. First day back to work, they're out at 10 Killer Lake on a dive operation. So he's a very motivated young man, and I'm glad to see that we have those fresh young guys and gals that want to do stuff that some of us are too old to do. An update on Captain Danny Tanner. He injured his back in a SWAT call-out up in Salina, Oklahoma. About a month ago, he had back surgery last week. Did very well in it. He's recovering nicely, but we expect him back within about 90 days. So other than that, if there's any questions about the report, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions for Marshal Buell? Have none. Good report.
Thank you.
This time we'll drop down to our Office of the Attorney General, Mr. Todd Hembry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, it is an honor and a pleasure to appear before the Rules Committee. Not much addition to report since we've had a truncated time between the last Rules Committee. But there has been one major development on the national scene that does affect our interest, and that is with the passing of Justice Scalia. His unfortunate demise is a blow to jurisprudence in general. He, whether you agree with his decisions or not, he changed the way the court looked at cases. He changed the rules of the game in his originalist construction, which sometimes cut both ways for him. He was extremely instrumental to the court, and the court will have a hard time replacing his legal knowledge. To be perfectly frank, his decisions mostly were not friendly to Indian country. However, if you read his dissent in the adoptive parent versus baby doe case, the baby Veronica case. He understood what family rights were and what parental rights were. And, although that was a 5-4 decision, one of those 4s was Justice Scalia. And he got that case right. So that is forever. Hopefully that dissent in that case will someday be used to create a majority opinion. But with his passing, there creates an issue with the court. There were four major Indian law cases that have been that are on this term. One of particular interest that we did an amicus brief on, that is the Dollar General case, which I've spoke with the committee about on numerous occasions. The general consensus was that the Mississippi Choctaw would lose that case on a 5-4 decision, and one of those 5 being Justice Scalia. Although invariably a vote had been taken on that case a few days after the oral argument, and draft opinions were probably circulating back and forth. Until that order was issued or published, it's not law. And regardless of how he would have voted one way or the other, and whether they knew what his vote was, since it's not published, his vote will not count. So it is the general consensus that in Dollar General we will end up with a 4-4 tie, or passing this case for re-argument next term when there is a full 9-member Supreme Court. What a 4-4 tie, or remaining that in I think they will issue a 4-4 opinion, or a 4-4 vote. But either way they go, that leaves the lower court's decision in place. And the lower court's decision, the circuit court's decision, was very favorable to Indian country and tribal sovereignty. We hope that, which is good for Indian country, and the other Indian cases, Parker and Menominee, we expect to have that same vote, a 4-4. Also, it is unfortunate anytime a person of historical significance passes away, but it does have a direct effect on Indian country and the Cherokee Nation. And even though the lower court decision hopefully will stay in place, that does not alleviate our duty to increase the sophistication of our courts and our rules of procedures and our civil procedure docket. That is why we've been, and I've let you know that we have drafted a new civil code that will be disseminated to you for consideration in the March rules meeting, and I hope you give it every bit of due consideration. So with that, again, we had a truncated amount of time between here and the last rules meeting. I would entertain any questions that the committee would have.
Any questions for Attorney General?
I got it.
Councilor Buzzer.
Todd, on some of this land in the trust where it was off the reservation, how does the court stand on those?
You have to be more specific. I don't.
It was in I think in Michigan. We're one of the tribes up there. We're going to build a casino off reservation. Familiar with that case?
Bay Mills case?
Bay Mills, yes.
Yeah, Bay Mills.
And Jamie, if you wanted to speak to Bay Mills, that's good. I mean, Bay Mills has been decided, and it was one of the narrow victories for tribal sovereignty.
They did get to build it, didn't they?
Have they built it?
They had one facility there What they did was they shut it down prior to any of the cases being filed. I have not heard if they have reopened it since that time, but ultimately what the decision was that it was not an issue of an action that could be brought under IGRA, since it was not purported to be an Indian gaming facility, that they had to go back and look at it as if it were a commercial facility under Michigan law.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else? I would just like to mention, and Todd, I know you knew him. I mentioned last night, I didn't go into detail of this while we're talking about attorneys and judges here. We lost a very strong advocate of Indian law with the passing of Professor Bill Rice. He was Indian law there at TU. He argued a case here in Oklahoma and went on to federal court, their Supreme Court, and I think he won a unanimous decision there. Was in the tax law there.
Yes.
He was assistant chief for the UKB, Citizen Band Potawatomi, but he got a call from his family. His family got a call from the President of the United States today. Today was for his services, so that speaks well of what type of person this guy was. He really meant a lot to Indian country, and he was an advocate for Indian country, quite the opposite of the other person you just mentioned. So,
Well said, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Professor Rice was a champion for Indian sovereignty, and he'll be missed.
yes. Anybody else? Thank you for that good report. Okay, I see Miss Gwen Terrapin here.
Good afternoon. For 2015, we still have one outstanding request. And then for 2016, we've gotten one new request. And that report is on the website at this time. And as soon as it's answered, then I will send everyone a copy of the monthly report, as I've done in 2015. And 2016 and 2015 have also been added to the categorized list. And there's been some updates to the website. And that's all that I have for now.
Good, you're catching up.
Yes.
Yes. Any questions for Gwen? Her and her staff is doing really a good job of getting caught up on these requests.
Thank you.
Okay, good report. Miss Sharon Swepston? She's always here.
Afternoon.
And those were good words you gave Friday at Appreciation Public School Appreciation Day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I do appreciate my staff. They work real hard, and like I said, it's all up to the citizens. They buy the tags, and then the tribe's able to give the money to the schools, and I know they desperately need it. So I apologize for my casual attire. I forgot. Today was meeting day. It's not Thursday, so I do apologize. I think you have my report, so if you have any questions, I'll try to address those.
Any questions? Your record speaks for itself. Good job.
Thank you.
Self-governance. We were going to put her first because she wasn't here last time, but we gave her some slack. Ms. Karen Ketchum.
I believe you have my report.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions?
She has really done a good job in filling in the self-governance department, coming from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Karen Ketcher. So,
Thank you.
so we have a question from Councilor Buzzard.
Yeah, Karen, has there been any movement on the road issue up for Sequoia High School?
No, there hasn't. I have talked with Michael about it, but we haven't got any movement on it yet. No.
That seemed like a slam dunk to me. It should be.
Yes, but I did speak with the head of the roads department in D.C., and he said that they were still looking at it. And so I don't know what their problem is with it, but
You know, that's kind of like the case they had at the Haskell Institute in Lawrence, Kansas. It took them years to ever get those roads paved up there. And I don't know, I guess the Bureau finally come through with some dollars on the thing and done it. So this is the same thing happening here at Sequoia. So we'll keep after them.
I will.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Is that it? Anybody else? Good report. Our Gaming Commission, Mr. Jamie Hummingbird.
Good afternoon, committee, Mr. Chair. If my report looks like it's familiar, it's because it is. It was a regurgitation of the one I'd given you just 2 weeks ago. But since then, I've had a few things come to pass that I need to give you an updated version of, plus to let you know of a few other items that have come up that would be of interest to you.
Thank you, sir.
While I'm passing this out, one thing I would like for you to take a look at is the bottom number at the top table here, where it says the compact fee payments. The bottom number is $18.3 million that was provided to the state over the course of, calendar year 2015. And as far as the state of Oklahoma is concerned, this is our most successful year under the compact. As you can see, it surpasses our 2007 mark set at $1.68 million. Or 17 million. I'm looking at the monthly here, but the overall summary here, 2007 was 17 million. This year is 18.3. So it just shows that the casinos have been very successful. And I would note that this might be a little bit skewed because we had a couple of more casinos at this time than we did 10 years ago, but they did a very good job back in 07, that's for sure. A couple of other items I wanted to pass on to the committee. Catherine Isom Claus was appointed by Secretary Jewell to serve as the Associate Commissioner, the third Commissioner for the National Indian Gaming Commission. This is the first time in 3 years that we've had a full commission sitting at one time. Ms. Claus is a member of the Taos Pueblo, and she currently serves as the Senior Counselor to the Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs. The Federal Register announcement went out a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was on the 8th, and the comment period on her appointment ends on March 9th. So far, everything that I have come to know about Ms. Claus is that she is not only very highly qualified for the position, as she is advised on gaming matters for the Assistant Secretary, but she is just a good personal reputation out in the community. So I'm looking forward to finding out more from her on a more professional basis. As you saw in the Phoenix, it was announced that the Grove facility has been identified as the next project for Cherokee Nation Entertainment to go into that market and open up a gaming facility there. There's approximately 400 machines on the drawing board at this time, but no table or card games planned for that facility. They will have a food and beverage venue as well as a bar venue, but no hotel, from what I can tell at this present time. I'll use those present time comments because you never know what's going to happen. As a part of that, we have to give, the Gaming Commission has to give notice to the NIGC and to the state anytime any new facility is planned or going to open. We have to give a 120-day notice, and since this project is well into the future, that 120-day notice is going to be sent in probably within the next week, so we'll definitely make that, that deadline. As we go through this project, this will be our actual, with me and my staff, this will be our 8th facility that we've opened since I took over the reins 18 years ago. And we will keep our standard practices of meeting with operations, helping identify things throughout the plan and the construction phase so that we can do our environmental public health and safety reviews. We have to certify the facility as being compliant prior to its opening. And that means not just the construction and safety issues, but also all of the compliance measures in place. Do they have all of their proper licenses in place? Do they have all of the forms, and do they have adequate funds? Do they have everything that it needs to take to run a gaming facility? So we'll be doing those reviews all the way up to the day of opening of the new facility. And with that, I'm just giving you kind of a shot across the bow right now, because with the new facility becomes some more responsibilities. With this new facility, we're going to be having to conduct a full compliance audit within 3 months of its opening. That means we're going to be doing 9 audits And after these initial 9 audits are done, our standard practice has been to divide these 9 audits over the course of a year. And these will be things that we'll be doing every year, such as financial transactions, cage, drop and count, machines, comps, surveillance, IT, player tracking, and marketing programs. So with that, we are still taking a look at exactly how much of an impact this is going to have on our current workload and our current resources. But with this being such a large property, this is very similar, almost identical in concept to that of Fort Gibson. We will be looking to add 1 gaming agent probably up in that area, and possibly the needed addition of an auditor to help absorb some of the workload as we absorb these new audits into our audit program. We are still taking a look at that just to see, like I said, exactly how this is going to impact us. And of course, anything that we might need in terms of resources will be coming back to this body in the form of either a budget modification for FY16 if it looks like it's going to be that close for us to get it in this year, but definitely part of the FY17 budget request. There are 4 pieces of legislation that are floating around the Hill in Oklahoma City that we are keeping track of. The first one is House Bill 2759. It was originally authored by Representative Kirby, but is now sponsored by Representative Robertson. This act is to amend the Education Lottery Act, and it will now allow for games where winners are determined by the outcome of a sports contest in which, quote, each contestant's selections are picked randomly and the contestant has no control over picking the selections. I'm not exactly sure what that means yet, to be perfectly honest with you. I've been trying to wrap my head around exactly how this language might be applied under the Lottery Act, and right now I'm not coming up with a scenario that makes sense. I'm going to find out more about it, and once I do, I will let you know. But nonetheless, since they're amending the Lottery Act, and this could be something in addition to their current offerings, I thought it'd be important for us to follow it. Similarly, Senate Bill 1326, offered up by Senator Treat, modifies Title 74 of the Oklahoma statutes to require a 2/3 Senate approval to any tribal state compact that is entered into and signed by the governor. This act, if it's finalized, would require that 2/3 ratification or approval before any compact could go into effect. It's not just gaming, it's any compact. And finally, there are 2 bills, they're companion bills, one in the House, 2278, offered up by Representative Wood, and in the Senate, SB 1396, offered up by Senator Holt. Both bills deal with daily fantasy sports. And these bills are being put forward as consumer protection bills. They are currently slated to be placed under Title 15 of the Oklahoma statutes to further signify what they're saying in the bill, which is the addition of daily fantasy sports, or the allowance for DFS for short, is not gambling under Oklahoma statutes. If it was considered gambling, it would be under Title 21, but they're placing it right now, or proposing to place it under Title 15. It's interesting to note that these are, it's being offered as a consumer protection bill. And if you get a chance to read that, if you'd like a copy of it, I can provide you a copy. It is a very similar bill to what you see floating around in different states. And it is a very short bill. There's a lot of different things that can be said about it, but it is, these bills are almost identical from one version to the next, from the House to the Senate version. And there's still a lot of questions out there who don't know exactly what direction these bills are going to go. But since we're dealing with a potential gaming issue with the daily fantasy sports, these bills are very much on our radar. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hummingbird? Councilor Buzzard?
Paramedics, I know we talked about this before.
Yes, sir.
What are they doing out there, and are we still paying a compact fee?
We are still paying. The last time I checked, and I apologize, I did check on that with the operations to see what the agreement still is, and I believe they are still going to be operating for probably the next 2 years. So we'll be on the hook probably for at least the next 2 years while they are continuing to conduct racing there.
I just see on a 2015 report, it's quite a sum that we're paying, isn't it?
Excuse me?
It's quite a bit of money that
Yes.
we're paying them, yeah.
Yes, and that is a prorated share
What is that?
of what is also paid by
So
the
this
other
would be 3
tribes.
times the amount they're getting then?
Right.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
good. Anybody else? Attorney General, before you leave, I was going to say now, is Secretary, did he leave? There he is. Government Relations and the AG's office, I assume that we're monitoring all these bills.
We are talking about it multiple times a day, and we are on top of it.
Okay.
High on our radar.
That's why we're #1 tribe in the United States.
That's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons. Anybody else?
What was the last bill? What number?
The DFS bills are 2278 by Wood and 1396 is Senate bill by Holt.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Lay.
Just one question. Jamie, do you know what the date will be when they will finish or open Grove?
No, I do not. There's a number of things right now. I know that there are, it's still in the planning phase. I know they pretty much have the architectural piece of it done. I've looked at the plans last week. But with construction, you might have a target date, but depending on a great number of factors, that date's going to be fluid. Right now, I believe the target is to have it opened up by New Year's. By the end of this calendar year.
17 New Year's?
I believe that is around about time. But, you know, again, it could vary, depending on just a lot of different things, weather chief among them.
That means your time's up.
Nope, thank you all.
Good report, Jay.
Thank you.
Okay, Human Resources, Nathan Morton's here.
Good afternoon. It seemed like I was just here. I'm a little bit behind on my homework. I have been checking on, last time we talked about dividing up and getting a report on the different levels, youth sensitive versus a basic background check. I've got a preliminary report from that. I'm checking the math on the difference, and then I am going to, just in abundance of caution, since I have changed my form up since last I've given you an overall form, I'm going to run it through and make sure that it's something suitable for public release, just to make sure. Because last time it gave just a one number and a department, and that's normally how I do it. But I have a more specific graph now, and I just want to make sure that I've got the overall numbers and I have the breakdowns I can talk about, and I'm just going to make sure that the math is right and it's a fair and accurate representation of what we've been doing. Also, what I've been looking at is, I believe last couple of meetings, we've discussed, do I have a number yet? What I had started with is to see how the best we could do with what we currently have. The process we have, how fast, how quickly, and what number we can get to. The next step is to take a look and check on some of the national averages look at them, see how we compare with the competition, see how we compare nationally, and make sure that, one, I'm measuring correctly and getting the information to need to go forward. Because it's always nice, once you've worked on something a while, to take a step back and go, okay, have I done everything I needed to do? And that will also include dividing out between the youth sensitive and the basic background. So you guys have a better picture. So basically, sometimes I overuse this phrase, we can compare apples to apples. So now next month, we're meeting regular time last Thursday of the month, right? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind. I'll make sure and have it all there, and we'll have it all ready for you, and we'll just have a number going back last 2 or 3 years. We can talk about it, and I'll get that stuff to you ahead of time, so if you have any questions ahead of time, we'll just go through it. If next month's not enough time, we'll keep coming back, and we'll get it done. I turned my report in. Does anyone have any additional questions?
Anybody have questions for Mr. Morton here?
Okay.
You've satisfied the crowd.
Thank you very much.
Okay, dropping down to old business. We've had this one on the table for quite some time. Counselor Thornton, you want to take that one?
I just received some changes. I handed them out. Of course, these changes are from the Attorney General's office, the Election Commission, and our counselor. But as of now, we're not going to accept any more changes. We need to meet and go over this if you want to do it today, or I can table it. Everyone can go over it. We can set a date, or we can meet the next rules meeting. Whosever pleasure it is. I think I'd rather table it and we'll go over it. Does anybody have any ideas?
We didn't receive it over here, did we?
Did you hand one out?
I've got another one here.
Yeah, I don't know.
was at the end of the.
This is the last one.
They've got them.
Do they?
Yeah.
They've got one?
Who now?
Anybody need one?
We got it now.
What's the pleasure of the, what do you want to do with
What's
that?
the pleasure of the committee?
Make a motion to table.
I'll second that.
Got a motion to table, second.
Now, do we need to set a date to have
Yes.
this
I think we need a
special meeting?
I agree.
To look at just, and it can be on it could be in the morning when we're gonna meet later that day.
That'd be great.
But this is too in-depth to try and do and
Right.
keep the timeline for the other meetings.
Yeah.
So-
You want to do this and the next one as well, and just, because of the same issue,
Well,
basically?
actually, the next one, are we gonna, let's wait till we get to the next.
Okay. So this one here, you got a motion and a second to table. Discussion anymore? Yes, Attorney General?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Councilor Thornton's and the committee's work is part and parcel of a larger election revision that is scheduled for later on in this committee. As many of you know, the process of going through a major election revision is lengthy and thoughtful, as well it should be. And I was going to make this recommendation when that came up on the agenda, but so the committee may be considering it, is that it would be, and I've spoke with Ms. Barker Harold and Mr. Chafin, is a recommendation that to this committee that you set a specific day for standalone special rules committee, where that's the only thing on the agenda, and that we go through the election law section by section and discuss it. Because you have the election revisions before you now, you have the language of the various separate amendments, and that we can do it in a methodical, thoughtful process. also, if we would set this meeting sometime, 3, 4 weeks down the road, that gives you, the counselors, ample time to digest this act in its entirety. And we don't have to wait for that meeting to start doing work. As you read that law and you consider amendments or think of any of your own, you can email them to us, and we can start answering those questions, and we can start resolving those issues even prior to that meeting. But I would recommend a standalone 1 full day at least to consider election law revision, so no one feels rushed about it. And that, again, prior to that, and I think this is imperative so that we take advantage and maximize our time, that when you find an issue or you have any kind of question, that you contact us, and and I've volunteered, my special assistant, Sonia Glory, to be the conduit of questions. Email them to Sonia, and you'll have her email address, sonia-glory@cherokee.org. Now I've broadcasted it all over the internet, and she'll probably going to get tons of email. But be that as it may, if you could email your questions to her and your comments, we can start addressing them even prior to that date. And that was going to be my recommendation when the agenda item came up, but this is not a good opportunity to do that, because Councilor Thornton's in the committee, Lupo Committee's work is part and parcel of that larger revision.
I as well, and I've already communicated with Shelley to start looking at some dates where we could devote a day, 2 days if we need to, make sure everybody has their say, and we don't need to rush through this.
Amen.
Okay, is that all right with the committee? Okay, yes.
And when you send emails to Attorney General's office, also CC me on that email too, so he and I will have an opportunity to visit. And also then we can get with the Election Commission Attorney Harvey Chafin. Harvey's here. He and Todd and I have met at least 4 times the last couple of months to go and review all these things. So anyway, I think a day just to address the election code amendments will be beneficial, because it's over 30-something pages, so we'll need to do that separately. And Councilor Thornton, who's the loophole chair, also suggested we have a special rules meeting just for this. He wanted that too.
Councilor Lee.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, in the years past, I know we probably set aside, I think, for ENF and for rules on a couple of occasions, like 3 days to do something. Now, usually we got it done in 1 day, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But this is gonna take a while, because, I see some things that aren't here that probably should have been on those timelines to help the election commission when elections go to the courthouse and stuff. There's a lot of things that I don't see here.
Yes. And that's why we want to not rush through it and set maybe 2 days, and if we need 3, we'll go 3. But we'll set at least a couple of dates there.
You may have to put it on the agenda as 3. Then if we can get it done in a day and a half, we're done.
Good? Okay. Shelley been taking notes on this, so, yes. All right. We have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye to table this. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Shelley, so give us some dates that we can go by and get back with us, okay? All right. Next item, Councilor Thornton again.
Well, this situation came up during the election. And the way I read our procedures and acts, this procedure is already taken care of. We haven't had anybody really challenge what has went on here. So if somebody would like to take this over, go through it, it'd be great as far as I'm concerned. Right now, I'm satisfied with what's there, But the problem is, we hadn't had what's there investigated.
Okay.
And so, I don't know whether to table this or to have the committee go ahead and set a group to go over this, or exactly what. But if you have any suggestions, you know, I'd like to hear them on this.
Any comments from committee?
The main thing that I can see about this is this council doesn't have any kind of investigation through the council, that we can take someone and have them investigate this. But there's different things that go on that we've always kind of used the Marshal service, but I think we've got an ethics people that can investigate something of this nature. And we could probably take it to the Ethics Commission. But, you know, some things may involve the Marshal Service that you want investigated. And you certainly don't want them investigating themselves. So, the way I look at it, we need either a contract on an investigation for an investigator, or, I mean, there's a lot to talk about this. So, I don't know whether I'll table it until next month, keep that in mind.
Okay.
So we can think about this. That's just a few comments that I had, and I really don't think we need anything there. I think it's all there.
Okay. Councilor
I
Vasquez.
just had a question. Are you talking about creating a work group to begin an investigation into this so that we can know that this is okay?
We can do that. You know, we can do that. But somebody, I'm not gonna go out and investigate it. I've investigated a lot of things, but I'm not gonna go out and investigate this. And you know, I don't know, in this situation, we may get the marshals to investigate it. But what I'm saying is that there's different things come up that we may want investigated, and the Marshal Service may be part of it. So, you know, I'm just telling you through my experience in the past and things that's come up and things that need to be taken care of. And we've never been able, as a body, to take care of it. So you need to think about those things, and if you want to appoint a group to look into this, it'd be great for me. I'd like to.
Okay.
But I want to be in that group.
Okay.
As far as chairing that group, I don't care about chairing it. I didn't bring this up. So,
Yeah. That's right. It was passed to you, wasn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
But
Councilor
that's
Hatfield.
what I think about it.
I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but I know, or maybe it's something we could talk about in the future, about the runoff election and the ballots, and that were sent out, and it gave the citizens no time at all to, I would like to see that extended for future council representatives, because I had many calls that, number one, sometimes it's the postal service. Usually if it's it's in a runoff, they already have the correct address, but there's a lot of problems. So is that something that could be,
I don't think so
the timeline for
right now.
absentee ballots?
But
That's what
I
Yeah,
I'm
think the
talking
elections
We have election
commission is
commission
going
people here.
to
about. Okay,
bring everything forward after we go over these two.
will that be
And then
sometime?
that'll take a
At a
long
later
time
time.
to go through
Okay.
that, I guarantee you.
You
Because
put
they
it-
want some changes, and I can't blame them. So,
You
I
want,
think right then will be the time to bring
you
it
have a
up.
motion.
There's been so many.
you gonna make a motion to table?
Yes.
Okay. Second, anybody? Got a second? We've discussed it. All in favor of tabling this, signify by saying aye. All opposed? Okay. Dropping down, discussion, possible action, cemetery restoration assistant policies and procedures. Who wants to take this? Counselor Vasquez, you got your hand up?
Yes, Chair, I would like to make a proposal. I just passed out to everybody a draft of some changes that we're looking at, but I would like to make a motion to table this for 1 month, because we really didn't have a month the last time we tabled it for a month.
Okay.
And I would ask that everyone take this home and study it and have suggestions, and we should have those suggestions to me before the next meeting. And then maybe we can come up with something to vote on then.
We have been given consent to these funds to go to these appropriate cemeteries, but that budget actually is under the secretary. So secretary, just make sure you have the appropriate people here next month to, we have any questions.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion second to table the cemetery restoration policy and procedures. Discussion?
No discussion on table.
Okay.
I can't discuss it after you table. I'd like to ask a question of the secretary, if I could, on cemeteries.
Okay. So it's already motion second to table. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Jack, sorry about that. Okay, Counselor Lay?
Yes, sir, and thank you. Secretary, are we gonna go ahead and fund, or in other words, pay for the cemeteries that are now on file until there's a new procedure written and accepted?
Well, this is a unique program in that it's truly kind of a joint program, council and administration. So I think from our standpoint, we'd be fine with, we have rules in place to fund those, but we also would defer to this committee, and because it really is a program that was born of the council. So I'd be open to guidance, certainly from the committee.
My guidance would be we should fund those that are now stacked up waiting in line. And of course, that comes through E&F, but when those come on board, I mean, I don't see why we're withholding funding until we actually change these procedures. At that time, then we would have a whole bunch of new rules, it looks like here.
If I could suggest a procedure, when you all handle cemetery applications at E&F, you could simply make the motion that these be approved and that all pending ones be funded. If that would truly show the will of the body, because I certainly, want to follow the body's will. I know there are concerns about the rules, and it is taking some time to get revised rules hammered out.
Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Thornton. Secretary, you might want to hold that seat for just.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to talk about is already covered, but I want to make sure, as far as funding the cemeteries that's on hold right now, the cemeteries that haven't come back from us last year, give us some excuse or whatever that they have to send us on how they spent the money, I don't think those cemeteries should be funded.
That sounds reasonable. I mean, we usually in all grants require somebody to, quote, close it out and provide the documentation. So that ought to be our practice anyway. And we can do that if. Certainly.
I know we had some that didn't, so, and they probably reapplied.
Yeah, the ones that are in good standing, I have no problem in funding those people. And there shouldn't be a whole lot of activity going on from November through, the winter months. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Because there should be a time where we're actually funding these cemeteries.
Well, I would then look for when the body approves the cemeteries at the next meeting to say, and all pending applicants in good standing.
We can do that at E&F. All applicants in good standing, I have no problem with that.
Today? Is that
Yes.
talking about the
Yes.
ones that are today?
So giving you heads up, Madam Chair. Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Act here, 15-100, Counselor Taylor.
This is an act amending Legislative Act 01-14, Cherokee Nation Employment Rights Act. You were handed some new amendments in this meeting, and I would like to substitute that.
got a motion and a second. Discussion? The changes were handed to you, correct? No discussion? Yeah, Counselor Lay.
Which changes were they, Janice?
It says no business as a trust-owned business should be included.
Takes care of that. And no business that's a trust-owned business should be certified.
I'm going to ask the AG to go ahead and speak to this.
Yeah, you got three major changes there. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Councilperson Taylor. Yes, Councilperson Taylor has asked me to review that language. I've had an opportunity to discuss this with her and with Ms. Diane Kelly about how best to handle the situation. Now, we all know that TERO certification is meant to inure to the benefit of Indian-owned businesses. Trust applications or trust documents are easily changed with a stroke of a pen anytime. After consideration, we think it is my suggestion that we make a bright line decision, is that no trust-owned businesses can be TERO certified. This does not mean that business or businesses that have current TERO certification would lose that certification, because laws of the Cherokee Nation cannot be retroactive. Those businesses would be grandfathered in. However, they would be notified that upon their renewal, that they would need to change their ownership situation. It's also mindful that it is possible to change ownerships in LLC and other corporations. Absolutely true, but it's not as easy or as likely to change a corporate structure. So what I recommend is that that this under this set of circumstances that TERO certification not be available to entities owned by a trust, and that's our recommendation.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, you initially brought this issue up, wasn't it? Correct?
It was brought to my attention that the trust ownership was not addressed.
Okay.
My argument was, when you look at our businesses that are TERO certified, very few of them are sole proprietorships. They're organized under something other than a sole proprietorship, which requires their organization to be, I own this much, you own that much. And so a trust is a similar situation. However, in visiting with the Attorney General, trusts, LLCs, partnerships, any other form of organization requires documents filed with the state. A trust does not, and that is the difference in the changing of the ownership.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Garvin.
How many trusts do we have now as TERO certified?
There's about 4 that are owned by trusts that are currently certified. So that would be under this, as it's explained. As is explained, there's 4 that would be grandfathered in, so, and they would need to change their structure.
Are they all local?
Local as in within the Cherokee Nation jurisdiction, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? Yes, Counselor.
So they would have to change in a year when their certification's up, they'd have to renew it?
They would be notified of the change of the law, so they can, immediately, so they can, start the process of changing their ownership or forego TERO certification. But they're, like I said, they would not be stripped of their TERO certification, but if they so choose, they would have ample time to change their organizational structure.
Okay.
Good enough for me?
Good? Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. You have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. This is going to be a big one here. Well, this is a resolution confirming the renomination of Charles T. Hoskins Jr. as Secretary of State of Cherokee Nation. Counselor Warner, would you take that?
Sir. We have a resolution confirming the renomination of Charles T. Hoskins Jr. as Secretary of State of the Cherokee Nation, and I move that we approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. And we do have him present here as always. Questions? There you
I'm
go.
gonna refer to my attorney to.
Just don't talk until.
Sitting on the back row.
Yes, Counselor Lay.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, just as a statement, I've been around the Cherokee Nation my entire life. I've had the pleasure of working with the Cherokee Nation the majority of my professional life. I can count on one hand people who have truly put their heart and soul into the betterment of the Cherokee people, and Secretary Hoskins is one of them. He's done it as an elected tribal councilor. He's done it as Secretary of State. But most importantly, he's done it as a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. He's never had to have a title to help the Cherokee people. And he's done an incredible and outstanding job as Secretary of State. Undoubtedly, we believe that he should continue his duties, and Chief Baker and the administration is so very proud to put forward this nomination, this renomination for Secretary of State, and I would urge his passage. Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to be added as a sponsor, and just a comment or two here. Only mistake I told Chuck a while ago that he ever made was when he went to the dark end of the hall. And he reminded me, well, he went to law school too, so that's two things. Other than that, I support him 100%.
Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Thornton?
I'd like to be added as sponsor if I'm not already.
Okay.
And I'll be added as a sponsor, please.
Okay. I think everybody wants to be added to sponsor this. You know, the secretary here is, you know, we watched him as a council member and during really difficult circumstances at times. When he chaired the committees, he always was non-biased, always fair, and that's all you can ask for. And I've seen him perform not only at the local level, federal level, you know, national level. So we're very fortunate to have somebody of his caliber that's on board, willing to be with the tribe. And like you know, said earlier, not only as a tribal member, as he contributed to you know, his attributes to the tribe, in many ways he has. So yes, you have my full support as well, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Anybody else? Okay, by acclamation. All in favor say aye. Aye. Speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the kind words from my cabinet colleague, the Attorney General. He was very generous and charitable, but it's appreciated, and I appreciate the confidence that Chief Baker has shown in me to appoint me to this position in the first place. I really never imagined in my professional career that I would get this opportunity, and having had it for a few years, I can say that irrespective of whatever happens in my professional career, it would be difficult to imagine a more meaningful job, a more meaningful way to help the people than Secretary of State of the Cherokee Nation. And one part of that is to work, the opportunity to work with the people of this council, the people's branch of government. I do appreciate it, and I think we do have a good working relationship, and I appreciate the vote of confidence. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Welcome. All right. Resolution 16-019. Councilor Jordan, would you please take that?
One.
Oh, yes. A resolution confirming the reappointment of Jack L. Spears as a commissioner for the Cherokee Nation Environmental Protection Commission. And I put that in form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second, and Mr. Jack Spears is here.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Spears is here.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Questions?
Better known as Speedy.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, you have a motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Spears, you want to say a word or two?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I serve at the pleasure of the chief, and I think we have a good Environmental Protection Commission. I think we're doing an adequate job, and I appreciate your confidence very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, congratulations. Okay, you got 16-020, Counselor Snell, you want to take that?
Yes. This is a resolution confirming the re-nomination of Johnny Arp as a board member of the Economic Development Trust Authority Board of Directors. I put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Okay, we have any questions for Mr. Earp? Counselor Buzzard?
I'd like to be added as a sponsor since this is a Delaware County board, and we don't get those too often, so please add me.
Okay, sponsor. Anybody else? You can add me. Anybody else want to be added as a sponsor?
Sure.
Okay, even if you're not from Delaware County, you can be added as a sponsor. He's a good man.
He looks like a good guy.
Thank you. Okay, you have a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
It's an
Comment?
honor and privilege to come in front of this committee and council. You know, we, from a community, Jay, you know, outside the, city limits of Tahlequah, we want to say thank you for all the support that we receive. I know we're working currently on getting some industry in the community, and it just couldn't happen without Cherokee Nation's help. People like Diane Kelly, Ann and I, they're continuously coming down and giving us support, and our council members, they're always there for us. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for all the support that you do for us.
Yes, and you almost got a new hospital up there, almost complete.
We're real close, real
Okay.
close. So
All right, congratulations. Okay, resolution 16-021, Counselor Vasquez.
Yes, sir. This is a resolution authorizing the revision of one council standing committee and creation of a new standing committee, which would be from Education and Culture. We would like to create a cultural committee separate from Education and Culture. I put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, you have a motion and a second. All right, discussion. Counselor Baker?
I think that it's a good idea to have it separately, but the question is, are we going to be meeting each month?
I do have some notes about that. My intent, and for one thing, I would like to be elected to be chair of that committee, which we'll do at a separate time, but if so, I would recommend that it be a bi-monthly meeting, unless we see a need to have a monthly. But we'll start out with the very first meeting would be held March 31st, the same day as our rules, and we would select at 11 o'clock time. That would be the first meeting of the day, with lunch to follow, and we would ask three departments at that time to come before us, and that would be Rob Doherty's Community and Culture Outreach, Molly Jarvis, Cultural Tourism, and I'd like to add Language Department to this, and we will probably ask, we've discussed asking different members of that language team, translation team. And we don't have a name yet, but it would probably be someone like John Ross or Dennis Sixkiller to come and address what's going on in the language department.
I think it's a very good idea. We'll get learn more about our culture and what's happening with the Cherokee Nation and the culture.
Sure. The tribe is getting so big, and we talk about revenues, we talk about our businesses, healthcare, education, but we almost just sweep the culture aspect of it under the table there, and that's who we are here as Cherokee people. So it's an important part. I think it'll be a good committee, a fun committee. We need to hear more about what we're doing in those various departments that I never hear from. Very seldom I hear anything from the translation, immersion, consortium. Just don't, and I want to hear some of that. Yes, Councilor Garvin.
think it's an excellent idea, and I support it, and I'd like to be a co-sponsor.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Counselor Walkenstein.
I'd make a recommendation, you put the emergency school under your committee as well, and probably the Heritage Center.
Yeah,
That's all.
Candessa will be reporting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry, I left that out. Yes, Candessa with the historical, with the
Heritage
Cherokee
Center.
Heritage Center.
Okay?
I had it in front of me, I just
Is
didn't
the
say it.
emergency school a possibility with?
I think that's as we please.
Yeah.
You know, if we want them to report, they can report. Counselor Thornton.
I think there's a guy that's working with language right now that's probably got a new program going. His name's Howard Payton on our language. And I
Howard?
think you probably need to.
He works under Rob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else?
I also would like to say that, and you all know this, but I don't know if the public knows it, but when each one of us took our oath, we said that we'd do anything possible for culture and our language. So, you know, we haven't been. I think we've started since Chief Baker's been in to try to help the language, so. Thank
Okay,
you.
yes.
I'd like to be added as a sponsor.
Okay,
please.
yes,
Yeah.
Counselor.
I'd like to be a sponsor.
Okay, sponsor, we good? Everybody good? I think everybody wants to be a sponsor. Yeah, we don't want to be known as the Hard Rock Tribe. You want to be known as a tribe with deep cultural background, okay? If we hold on that too long, you're going to be the Hard Luck Tribe. So here, we're in good shape. So, okay, you have a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, Victoria, good job. I think, Counselor Vasquez, you have the next one.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
Do you want Counselor Hargis to take that?
No.
She's eyeballs.
No,
it.
I
Okay.
have a statement, but I forgot where I read it. Okay. This is the, regarding the child support with the Delaware. This is right? Number 16-022 is what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to ask that we withdraw this. The administration needs further work on that.
Withdraw?
Yes.
Okay. Withdraw.
Just withdraw.
Okay. You don't need a second on that. Okay. Is that correct, Joe? Okay. Next one will be 16-023. Counselor Vasquez, you're up again.
Legislative Act amending Title 68, Revenue and Taxation, the Cherokee Nation Motor Vehicle Licensing and Tax Code. And I put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion, second.
Is Sharon still here? In case you see her?
No, but
Sorry, Sharon had to step out, so.
we got one here that can pinch hit just as well.
I may be
right
able to answer them, I may not. But I'll sure act like I do.
All right. Questions?
Anybody have any questions about this?
Yes.
This is the, well, there's,
We're adding the four in red. We're adding those. They were an oversight for some reason when this was initially put in. So we need manufactured homes, commercial trailers, farm trailers, and our nation vehicles on there so they can be in that category. I think some of those may have been added since this first initial legislation was put in. We added those other vehicles. Then the next one down at the bottom, right now, if you have a have a car that's disabled and you don't get it tagged for, you have a bunch of penalties stacked up. Well, it didn't run, my transmission was out. Well, previously you have to have receipts that it was really broken down, and you have to have receipts for these to prove that you did, and you just weren't telling us this. This allows the administration, which would be Mrs. Swepston, to waive that requirement for receipts. Because some people, they have their buddy fix their car and fix their transmission. They don't have any receipts, but they need help so they don't have to pay those exorbitant penalties that they've acquired. So that's just something to kind of help our citizens out, I believe.
That's a good idea. Yes, Counselor Taylor.
So will there be any penalty in that case? Because I have a lot of vehicles that don't run.
There are penalties, but if they don't run because they were broken down and you were not financially able to fix them, then yeah, if you just let them sit up, and then you decide, well, I'm gonna do it, and it's been sitting there 6 months because the battery was dead on it, it's up to the administration to get all those facts and make a decision on whether those penalties should be waived or not.
Is there any, like, my husband does classic cars, and he'll drag one home, and it'll sit there for 5 years before he does anything.
Yes, ma'am, you can black tag them, where you don't have to have any insurance, so you can black tag them and don't have to worry about it, and that's minimal, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's
You're
all I
welcome.
had.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Buzzard, then we got Counselor
It's the
Lay.
same as the state of Oklahoma about a car that's sitting there for a year or two ending.
Now, I don't know if they require receipts fully or not.
But there
I
is
can't
a
answer that, but
provision.
there is a deal where, yeah, you've got to do that.
And just by changing this in our act here, it's not going to have any bearing on our compact with the state of Oklahoma?
No, sir,
It
not
should
at all.
have none.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks, sir.
Okay, Counselor Lay?
That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any policy, anything written down with these vehicles you're talking about that comes from like the housing authority where so many vehicles? I mean, we're really getting down to some nitty-gritty here with some of our Native Americans, because a lot of my maintenance work, I asked Counselor Walkenstick to do little stuff like that. We don't do receipts very well.
Well, yours are never gonna run anyway if you're having him work on them, but, no, yeah, and you don't get receipts, and that's what does this, is those people, you know, they work on their own vehicles, and they don't have receipts, they didn't keep that parts number, and they don't know, I mean, they did it themselves, so they don't really have any receipts on where a shop fixed it to say it was down for 6 months or a year.
Sure.
And that gives us the ability to discern whether they should be assessed those penalties or not.
Okay. Good job, Andy.
Thank you.
Counselor Taylor, one more.
I know with the state, it used to be something like you bought your tag in one back year or something like that.
I'm sorry, what now?
Okay, say I've got a 1984 something or other, and I haven't tagged it all these years, and now I fix it up. And with the state, it used to be something like you paid your current year and one back year, something to that effect.
Our fines go to double and then stop,
Okay.
so that's basically the same
And most of those are gonna be
thing.
fairly cheap.
Yeah, especially on an older vehicle, they will be, yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, you got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Andy, good job.
Thank you guys.
Okay, the next will be 16-024. Counselor Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an act, a legislative act amending Title 18 Corporations of the Cherokee Nation Code, noted pertaining to jobs growth, and I move for its approval, and I'll try to explain it if you'd like me to.
Okay, got a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, got a second? Discussion? It's Counselor Vasquez.
Yes, I would really like to get an opinion from administration on this, if I could. There's, is Secretary of State still here?
The Attorney General,
Mr. Speaker, certainly we wanted to listen to the council debate before we weighed in. Out of respect for the council, we'd certainly comment on the legislation if called upon to do so.
Let's see what we've got, okay? All right. Anybody else? It's Counselor Buzzard?
To me, I think it's an excellent idea. I think there's enough Cherokees within the 14 counties and at large to pick these people. I think I've made the statements before that, you know, we have most of our board, a majority of our board from Cherokee County here in Tahlequah. And I know, Joe, you're from Tahlequah, you're a good man. The other two are
Thank you,
but
Counselor Buzzard.
I just think it's a decision that could be put out there for the administration to take a look at our other Cherokees out there.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a lot of Cherokees out there that would make a good board member. You know, if there's any problem with travel, they always can do those by telephone. You know, I've seen it done before, so I think it's a good idea. At least that gives the administration to pick people from each district and two at large. So I think it's an excellent idea myself. And I would be for this change.
Yeah, as we did Mr. Arp just then. He's from Delaware County.
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Watkins.
Well, you can probably attest to this, Speaker, but we used to run at large. There was no districts, everyone ran at large. And as the tribe's grown and we've put boundaries in districts, we came to this right here. You know, if we were still going at large, I don't think we'd be here with trying to get one board member per district. So, you know, it's, to me, it's coinciding with where we are today and with our boundaries. And, you know, I think you get the most qualified person for a board member, regardless of where they live at. They live in New York or wherever. You get the most qualified that's going to bring dividends to our tribe, regardless of where they live at. So with that, I'm not opposed to this, but I don't want to put limitations on our board. So that's all I have to say, Speaker. Thank you.
Councilor Thornton?
Yes, I kind of agree with you, David, but I'd kind of like to have some kind of representation here from C and B and listen to what they have to say on our businesses.
Okay. We'll go on down and we'll get that. If you don't mind, I'd like to hear from the committee first, and then they can weigh in. Is that all right?
I'm not through.
Yeah, I know. That's what I say. I want everyone to have a time here. Go ahead.
That just,
Okay.
okay. I think of some of y'all that have been on here in the past will remember, as I do, that I know at least 3 in the past that wasn't even within the Cherokee Nation, didn't live in the Cherokee Nation. One lived in Switzerland, one lived down in Texas somewhere, on and off. And I really don't think they were world beaters. So my opinion is that we need to keep it like it is, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Jordan?
I would have a hard time changing it right now. Look at what they're making up there. You know, I don't see a board member up there that's doing anything wrong. They're doing nothing but making money for us. So I just don't think it's a good deal to change it. I won't be for it.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilor Warner?
Yes, sir. To me, I don't want to be limited in the fact that maybe my district does have good representation with former Councilor Fulbright there. But I also may have the next best pick among the whole lot of all the 14 county jurisdictions sitting in Southsaw, or in Rowland, or in Muldrow, or even over in Vian or wherever. And I don't want to be limited to that. So I won't be for it for now.
Councilor Critton?
The board members currently on it wouldn't be affected by this, right? Just future appointments?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Austin?
I can't support this. I feel like it's just an arbitrary rule that doesn't accomplish anything. Because we already have the authority to approve every board member that goes on there. We have the authority to bring them before us and question them and come to a political decision whether or not this person is qualified and whether we agree this person should be on there. We have that authority already. So I don't see that we accomplish anything other than tie the hands of of our ability to get the best and the brightest.
Councilor Snell?
Well, I sat on this board, but I think it is well done the way it is. And I'm sure that we have good representation in every district. But like somebody said, we get to vote on them anyway, who's on that board. But I think that we're doing pretty good the way it is.
Okay. Councilor Hargis?
I'm not in support of it either. As like Councilor Jordan said, they're doing a tremendous job, the ones that are there. And I know of at least 5 on the current board that are not from Cherokee County. So, and I know that's the issue here, so, I just can't support this.
Councilor Vasquez?
Well, I'm very happy in the fact that we recently appointed Chris Carter, who is from Veneta, from the northern counties. Not only it's representing our area, but he's an excellent choice. just like the ones that are already serving. So if we created instability by recommending that board members be from a certain locale, then that, I believe, would put out into the business world and the world at large that the Cherokee Nation lets the council change the board at will based upon geographic location, and it could make us look very unstable. Whereas right now, we are the best there is. Our businesses are making money for us, and things are great. So I agree with whoever said this. Why change something that's working now and working very well?
Counselor
Thank
Hatfield. I'll come right back to it.
I think that, just being at large, and I've spoken to many, many individuals, business, we have many, many very well qualified Cherokees across the nation. And, but I think the fact of the matter is, and someone brought this up during the last discussion about culture, is what's in your heart, And I know we have to, we're a very, very large group, but what's in your heart? If you're thinking what is best for the Cherokee Nation, and that's our first objective, is for our Cherokee people. And so I think right now I'm very happy with me personally. I think, and it's a very big learning process for me, but we have some very, very well qualified people. But we always need to keep our minds open as well to, are very, very well qualified people that are in the, all over the United States. But if you have if they're Cherokee, the Cherokee is in their heart.
Sure.
For the tribe. So I'm not sure what I'm saying, but I think that we have some very well qualified individuals, and they're out there. We should always keep an open mind about that. But I'm pleased with the situation as it is. Thank you.
Councilor Taylor.
I will be abstaining from the vote, but I'm happy to say I've got 2 representatives from my district that are on the board currently. And I feel like it is more important your experience that you bring rather than where you live. We've got people in real estate, we've got people in small business, we've got people in banking. The board that is currently there, I think, is a conglomeration of talents, and I think that is more important than geography.
Okay, Councilor Garvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't know you was going down the road, but I definitely think that you need to get the right person and not just stay at one county. And we got people in New York, and we got people in California, and we got people over here at Muskogee. Not too bad, but I know you play politics and favoritism and all that, but it'll be our turn maybe before too long. So maybe we'll be next.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Councilor England.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I totally agree. Somebody said over there a while ago that we have the opportunity to vote up or down to a candidate that the administration brings forward, and we can make our voice heard there, whether we agree or disagree.
Sure.
The only thing I'd really like to see is if the administration would ask the people in the districts that represent the districts outside of the Tahlequah area, if we have anybody that we would recommend to bring forward, but for them to interview, bring in, and see, well, yeah, he would make a good fit, or she'd make a good fit for the board, or whatever. So I'd kind of like to see that, and then I think the districts outside of Tahlequah would have a voice in the say,
Sure.
But just give us the opportunity to say, we have an excellent person up north that would make a great C&B board member, and so.
Right.
But other than that, I feel like we've got a voice in it anyway. I mean, whether we win or lose the vote when we're confirming them, well, at least we're getting the vote, and our constituents can see how we're voting.
Sure.
They're watching all the time.
That's right.
So.
Thank you. Councilor Buzzer.
Well, just like I said the other day, and Mr. Chair, you remember, and I think most people on this council remember, what used to happen when we used to elect tribal council members. They were elected at large because you have a large Cherokee population here in Cherokee County. Over half, over 51% of council members was from Tahlequah. That wasn't right. And everybody that carried a petition knew it wasn't right. So what did I do? I went out there and we started carrying a petition to get it changed. And that's how the 15 districts come about, because we wanted equal representation. And that's what we got. So I think the same way here, if you have a majority on the council, you can put anybody on that board you want, regardless if you've got 2 people who vote against them. But we put that in the law for that to happen. And if this is going to happen, it has to come with an act from this council to do it. So that's what I'm saying. You know, if we want to go back to the old ways and have people at large, you know, whoever gets the most votes, you know, that's where they're going to be from. And that's exactly what it was 25 years ago. And so that's my reasoning for it. So I just think it's an idea, and it's not because this administration has appointed or give us a selection from people down here. They're doing a good job. They've done a good job since they've been on there. I'm not griping about that. I'm just saying let's spread some of this around and get different ideas from different parts of the country. So that's where I'm coming from. I know how it was when we used to have tribal council members. We had probably 75% that was actually from Cherokee County. And I'm saying you guys are bad in Cherokee County. You guys did a good job. And like that today. I just think it'd be more fair to the Cherokee people to have those people out. So that's all I got to say about it.
Some of this is, I think back in the 80s when I first got on the council, I ran at large. I served as a council member at large, ran at large, and then served as a council member when we just ran by counties, and served as a council member when we ran by districts. If you look at the history on how this has all evolved, when Chief Swimmer was on, a lot of his appointments were from like Tulsa area. When Chief Mankiller was the chief, if you look back who her board of directors were, most of them were from Adair County. And when Chief Smith was on when he was chief, you look at the CNB board members, majority of them were from Tulsa area or out of state area. And there's where, you know, he's originally from Tulsa. He lived there at that time. Then, when you look at the history, Chief Baker lives here in Cherokee County. If your chief was from Bartlesville or Veneta, those people are probably mostly from that county. Sitting on that side of where chief is, you want efficiency and you want loyalty, but when I look around, his appointments hadn't been that bad because Councilor Lay has a clinic, and you've got a new clinic coming up in your district. I don't have one in Nycut. And I've been on the council for most of my life, I think. So the distribution of power, the way it says, is in the hands of the chief, and we legislate. So I don't know if you could ever satisfy all entities, and I really hear what you guys are saying about Cherokee County. And that's just the history there. I'll give you a little bit of history of what took place there. But I think when you look at the services that are distributed out there, from the health care to education and housing, it's pretty even out there what people get. Again, I'd like to have a little, you got the little laundry thing there in jail. I'd like to have that in Nycut, Chief. We didn't get that. We have to drive still yet from Nycut, Oklahoma. We have to drive to Sallisaw, have to drive to Muldrow, Fort Smith to even get a job. So, if we're going to say that Cherokee County and I get what I want, I don't think so. So that's just my little history there, and everybody's had a chance to speak. Are we going to go one more round here? Oh, Councilor Baker, I yield to you.
Okay, thank you, because I didn't speak.
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
Okay, no. Okay. I agree with Councilor Akeland that we have a lot of good people, and that it would be a good idea to get recommendations from the council for board members, and because we do have good ones all over the place. And I think the intent of this was to show that we do need, would like to have a more balanced board from different areas. And I think that we've made the point of that. So I will not be voting for this in its current.
Okay, let's give the chief an opportunity to make a comment.
Chief, I haven't
Okay.
raised my hand for.
I thought you started a discussion. My fault. Go ahead.
And I appreciate everything everybody has said, and Councilor Buzzard probably hit upon something that I've been thinking about for a long time, because I'm just old enough, barely, to remember when we elected just at large, and I never had a representative. And I'm looking around this room right now, and at least a half a dozen people that are sitting on this table, if we still voted at large, would not be here today. At least that many. And I've asked the chief for 5 years to consider somebody from my district. Haven't got the word back, well, who would you want? So here's the thing. I think that in Washington and Owata County, I may have somebody almost as smart as people in Cherokee County. Okay? And I'll reiterate what Councilor Buzzer said, that back when we elected at large, I never had a chance at representation. Nobody up where I was at had a snowball's chance. And I'll let it go at that. Thank you.
If I could point out something. You know, I've put together a board of people that I've known personally for many, many years. I know their heart. I know their business background. And if you really look at the ones from Tahlequah, Jack, where are you from?
Peter County.
Okay.
Chewy.
You're from Chewy.
Yes.
Well, so is Jerry Holderby. He lives in Tahlequah, but he's from Adair County. Sam Hart is from Westville. He's not from Cherokee County. He was born and raised in Westville, Oklahoma, in Adair County.
Chief, how many are from Washington or Owata County?
Dick, quite honestly, I didn't spend very much time in Washington County. And so to know their family, to know their business accolades, to know their heart, to know their character from a long period of time, I don't have it. And, you know, these folks I know, and when I came into this position, I said I would do it no different than I would do it for myself personally. And there's not a board member that I've got that I wouldn't put on a board for my personal business on any given day. So I've got a board, and Dan Carter, Cherokee County, but he's really from Salisaw, folks, or Bayan. So, I mean, you sit here and say I've got all folks from Bob Berry, Grove, born and bred in barefooted and poorer than dirt from Grove, Oklahoma, or that area. I don't think he got to the big city. So these are Cherokees, folks. These are Cherokees that grew up Cherokee, that almost to a man grew up extremely poor and made great successes out of their lives. They have a heart for the Cherokee people, and it shows. So I make no apologies. I hope you don't change what's working. My dad always says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
Chief, if our revenues weren't like they were, we would be making changes. Okay? All right, you have a motion, you have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's to approve, is that correct? Okay.
To approve it?
To approve. Okay, all against?
Aye.
And I abstain.
One abstention?
Roll call.
Shelley, you want to do roll call?
So no is against it,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
John Garvin,
No,
Frankie Hargis,
No.
Wanda Hatfield,
Abstain.
Rex Jordan,
No.
Dick Lay,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
No.
Janice Taylor,
Abstain.
David Thornton,
No.
Victoria Vasquez,
No.
David Walkingstick.
No.
Brian Warner,
No.
Bill England,
Yes.
Keith Austin,
No.
Jack Baker,
No.
Carly Bezzard,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
No.
Sean Crittenden.
No.
We have 3 yes, 12 no, and 2 abstentions.
Okay. All right. Counselor Vasquez, you want to take the last one?
Yes, this is an act amending LA 0414, revising Title 26 elections of Cherokee Nation Code annotated. And I believe we've already.
Yeah, we've discussed most of this, so unless anybody, we got a motion, need a second?
Motion to table.
Is there a motion to table? or-
Table? Yes.
Table to a new, a specific special meeting.
Yes.
Special meeting rules.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay, got a motion, second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
No discussion.
No discussion with table. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, counsel. All right. Okay, moving down to, we'll have Shelley get back with us on those dates, make sure they work for everybody. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Second?
I asked Sonia to get with me on several.
Aye.
We are adjourned.